Ranger, for the ones who get it done.
Give your liver the support it needs with Active Liver. Go to newnordicusa.com, Amazon, or ask for Active Liver at your local CVS. New Nordic.
The voice of the next generation of conservatives.
The Charlie Kirk Show, weeknights at 8 on News Talk 710 KURV, KURV.com, and on the Radio Potami app. From the KURV Broadcast Center, this is the 956 Drive Home.
All right, we're doing this. Put on your seatbelt, check your mirrors. Let's begin.
Buckle up and get ready to talk about today's headlines and topics important to you. Here's Zach Cantu and Davis Rankin.
It's already the end of Wednesday. Can you believe it? You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV, your 956 Drive Home. I'm Zach Cantu, along with the living legend Davis Rankin, joined by Bob Larson from AccuWeather, because this morning it was the talk of the town. We're supposed to be getting a lot of rain and wind and potentially even hail, but let's get the 4 o'clock update from AccuWeather. So what should we be expecting this evening?
Well, Zach, to this point, it's been a quiet afternoon of weather, still waiting on the storms. I would say that even though storms are beginning to develop in Mexico at this hour, and they're drifting toward the north and northeast, we still have a pretty good shot at some rains to come through. But I don't know if it's ever going to get to the point where it's widespread rain and storms, much like we saw a couple of outbreaks earlier this spring. I'm not sure it rises to that level, but conditions are such that where it does rain, even if it is scattered in nature, there will be some downpours and potentially vivid lightning, gusty winds, and hail.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's get the hail factor out of the way. What are the chances of that?
I would rate it wherever we have storms of maybe like a 1 in 4 chance of actually seeing hail. These storms are capable of producing that. They have developed pretty quickly and intensify now within the last 30 minutes. They're still centered well to the south of Laredo, southwest of there as well, but they're advancing, as I say, toward the north and northeast. It would appear, based upon where they are forming at this hour, that the greatest likelihood of seeing rain will be from McAllen on west. The McAllen to Laredo corridor. East of there, it's a little more questionable whether or not it advances that far to the east. If it does, it might be a generally lighter variety of showers. But we'll see how this unfolds. Next hour is going to be crucial as we track the development of these storms. I think we'll know a lot more over the next hour or two in terms of where they are and where they're headed.
Do we have an estimated time of arrival?
I think it's still a good hour and a half, 2 hours away for most of us. And I think most of the activity winds down by 9 o'clock this evening, although some, particularly toward north, could linger up till midnight.
Let's get a look into tomorrow. We're supposed to have similar conditions tomorrow. Is that correct?
There could be showers and storms again. I don't think the chance is quite as elevated as what we're seeing this afternoon, more than anything else. It's just going to be typically hot and humid as it is so often during the end of May, and usually is. But the chance of rain is probably less tomorrow than what we're seeing today.
Thanks a lot, Bob. Appreciate it. That's Bob Larson from AccuWeather joining us on News Talk 710 KURV. Coming up next on your 956 Drive Home, we've got a lot on the program today. What is up with the President Biden auto pen? What happened during his administration? How did that whole thing work? What did key people know at the time I think is going to be the big question, and we'll find those uncoverings eventually. Also, we'll have a talk about restaurants. It's National Waitstaff Day. We'll get a check of the wait staff, how morale is for them, and how restaurants across the board are doing. All that on today's program. So sit tight, stick around. You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV.
And now, important moments in news history.
These are big achievements for this country, and the people of Bulgaria ought to be proud of the achievements that they have achieved.
This has been
That can too.
I miss him.
KURV. I miss
At
him.
Revettis Machinery in Donna, they're bringing the best deals on Coyote equipment to your job site, your farm, or your backyard. Right now, take advantage of 0% interest or up to $6,000 cash back on Coyote track loaders and skid steers.
Zach, you have Dr. T. Next break, Dr. T.
Dr. T. We're still live, right?
They're also offering
they can
fantastic
see and hear us talking.
Coyote tractors, zero-turn mowers, and utility vehicles.
Okay, cool.
Whether you're hauling something, mowing,
tell Estevato to stop picking his
Coyote
nose.
has the equipment to help you get it done. If you're looking for great deals and great service from a team that treats you like family, look no further than Revettis Machinery and Coyote. Start your next project right. Visit Revettis Machinery in Donna or browse their deals when it suits you at mynewtractor.com. That's That's their website, mynewtractor.com. Revettas for the long haul. See dealer for full details.
It takes one whiff. Everything on the menu seems to be calling out to you. Dish after dish looks so good that you just can't seem to make up your mind. Everything looks better than the last thing. It's almost mind-boggling, and that's the moment that you realize you are at the right place. Zen Asian Bistro. All you can eat. Sushi, all kinds, and always delicate, fresh, and delicious. Sushi and Chinese food all at the same place. Zen. Everything you want. Individually, custom, wok-fired, crispy General Chow chicken, and all of your favorite Chinese food like sizzling steak lo mein. It's an experience you'll absolutely love. Lunch and dinner, all you can eat at Zen. You don't have to decide on one thing because you get it all. Everything on the menu is yours for one low price. All you can eat. Bring everybody. With kids' meals at just $8.99, there's just no better option out there. Zen Asian Bistro. All you can eat, unlimited, unforgettable, unapologetically affordable. Zen.
Broadcasting from the Valley's commercial and fleet headquarters studio at PayneAutoGroup.com. You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV.
412 on News Talk 710 KURV, your 956 drive home with Zach Cantu and the living legend Davis Rankin. Your home for Houston Astros baseball. And it was earlier today, your Houston Astros game number 3 against the Rays. Let's not talk about that. Let's talk about tomorrow. Tomorrow, they're up against the Mariners, and that'll be 7:10 game time on 7:10. Okay, fine. I'll talk about the series. I'll talk about it. Let's see. So yesterday was Astros versus the Rays, and it was 3-2. Rays took that one, and it was 8-4 earlier today. So better luck next time, Astros. Mariners tomorrow, 7:10. Your home for Astros baseball. News Talk 710 KURV, made possible by Dr. T's Primary Care for Men and Women and Mission Economic Development Corporation. Why focus on the negative, right? I mean, why focus on the bad things, right? When you can look at the optimism of the future, right, Davey Do?
Roger that. I agree with you totally. Look on the bright side. Look on the sunny side of life.
Yes, there are games that have not been won yet. There you go. So that's a way to look at it. The city of Brownsville warning residents about the upcoming launch of the 9th Starship mission. There was a post on social media yesterday indicating the launch could happen on Tuesday. The post noted that sonic booms could be heard and felt in Brownsville, Port Isabel, and South Padre Island during the launch window. SpaceX still needs official approval for the FAA. They say the launch can happen. Superintendent of Mercedes School District apologizing after being arrested for driving while intoxicated. Benjamin Clinton was arrested by state troopers in Los Fresnos last Friday. Investigators say Clinton smelled strongly of alcohol, and several liquor bottles were found in his vehicle. He issued a statement yesterday saying that he recognized the turmoil and disappointment that followed his arrest and that it doesn't reflect his values as a person or a leader. The school board was meeting privately last night to discuss Clinton's further employment. The property tax break for Texas homeowners faces a final House vote today. State representatives unanimously gave their preliminary approval to a couple of bills on Tuesday. It was Senate Bill 4 that would raise the state's homestead exemption from $100,000 to $140,000. Senate Bill 23 would raise a separate homestead exemption for senior or disabled homeowners from $10,000 to $60,000. Both bills are the work of State Senator Paul Betancourt, which is a Republican from Houston. Our fighting Texas Wolverine, Republican Senator Ted Cruz, introduced the No Tax on Tips Act, and that is moving on to the House with unanimous bipartisan support in the Senate yesterday. The bill establishes a new tax deduction of up to $25,000 a year for tips. President Donald Trump suggesting the idea during his campaign, and Democrats also copied it. Eliminating taxes on tips also expected to be included in the House's GOP mega bill. This is such a Republican idea. I remember when Ron Paul was proposing it back in 2008.
Why do you say
the Democrats they can't even pretend that this was their idea or something that they ever wanted to do?
Why do you think it's a Republican idea?
Because I just finished saying, because it was a Republican that initially proposed it in 2008.
All right, but other than that, is it Okay, I see what your point is. I see what you're saying. No, that's fine.
Okay, Davey.
What?
Texas. Okay. That's fine. Let me, let's see. Should I move on to the audio soundboard? Yeah, let's try that. The Texas economy keeps setting records, and some experts say much of this has to do with the state's Republican leadership.
Governor Abbott constantly refers correctly to Texas as the headquarters of headquarters and the jobs juggernaut of America.
That is Glenn Hamer, who heads the Texas Association of Business. He says the state's strength is in diversity. The latest jobs report shows the state's labor force has grown to an all-time high. Unemployment holds steady at just about 4%. Over in San Antonio, it's even lower at just over 3%. I had more state news. Where did I leave that at? Ah, yes, human smugglers are going to great lengths to hide their illicit cargo. Cops pulled over a truck carrying bales of hay on Interstate 10 between San Antonio and Houston. And an inspection found that the bales were hollowed out and reinforced with metal.
No.
So people could be stuffed inside. Can you imagine being an immigrant and having some sort of set of allergies for that hay ride? I can't imagine. Knowing you're probably not going to get any relief for several hours, or maybe even longer than that.
Maybe the cartel should start carrying Benadryl with them, just in case.
That would be nice, right? For what you're paying to get smuggled into the country, you better get some Benadryl and some tissues to go along with that.
Yep.
Maybe even a face mask, right? I'm sure they're having fire sales on those, right? Post-Rona.
Think of how itchy they are by the time they get to where they're going, itchy and scratchy from laying in that hay. Oh, man.
Oh, no. I hadn't even thought about that either. Oh, no. Anyway, where did I leave off here? It was Fayette County deputies. They called the method creative and dangerous. Yeah, I would agree with that. 3 smuggling arrests were made, and the illegal immigrants were turned over to the feds. An ICE roundup of illegal immigrants in San Antonio being hailed as a success. The feds say they caught 275 people who were in the country illegally during a 7-day operation. The majority have criminal convictions, and a few of them were deported in the past and snuck back across the border. Wouldn't you know? Surprising absolutely nobody. The field office director said in a statement, criminal aliens have taken advantage of our immigration laws for far too long. You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV. This is your 956 Drive Home. Coming up next on the program, the president of South Africa showed up at the White House earlier today, and it wasn't fun for that guy. We'll talk about what happened coming up next on News Talk 710 KURV, your 956 Drive Home. We're also keeping an eye on radar. Stick with us for any updates on these storms that are supposed to be moving through the Rio Grande Valley, the Valley's news and weather station, News Talk 710 KURV.
Come on, Zach.
You're just minutes away from the bottom of the hour news. Stay tuned for the latest headlines. News Talk 710 KURV.
Dr. T's Primary Care, drt'sprimarycare.com. Improve your overall health and your quality of life. That's what I'm doing. That's what I've been enjoying these past several months. It's been well over a year. It's been almost 2 years now with Dr. T's Primary Care, and I've been feeling great. I've been feeling amazing because what they do is that they balance your hormones on the inside. They make sure that everything's working properly. They give you the full evaluation. They break down all the numbers, and they sit you down and they explain why it is important for you to be doing the things that they are recommending to you, right? These are the experts at Dr. T's Primary Care. They've been doing this for a real long time, and they've had many success stories where, say, how you're kind of snappy at your significant other sometimes, and you're just, that's not me. I don't know what's going on. Well, as it turns out, in a lot of those cases, it was some sort of hormonal imbalance, and sure enough, lickety split, you started feeling a lot better, not stressed out anymore. You're not moody anymore. You might have trouble sleeping. The Dr. T's Primary Care can help you with that as well. They also offer services for men and women in primary care. If you're feeling under the weather, go ahead and talk to the guys. Show up at the office at Dr. T's Primary Care. Low testosterone, menopause treatments, peptide treatments, and IV vitamin infusions. But you got to give them a call, though. 956-803-0058 for McAllen. And in Harlingen, 956-368-5247. Get a breakdown of what they have to offer for you at drt'sprimarycare.com.
Nick, this is your phone here in the passenger seat. Look at...
Zach, what time is your guest?
5:20.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, I was busy each time you texted me asking me for the time.
Sports app. Oh, you gotta see this play.
Later.
Hey, you got invited to a party. We need a RSVP now.
Phone, silence yourself.
Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Talk, text, crash. A message from TxDOT.
When the odds are against you, a force for justice will be there. When you need someone to defend you, when you need a champion, we will be that force. So if the unfortunate ever happens and you or someone you love is in an accident, call me, Jay Gonzalez, the Jay Gonzalez Law Firm, a force for justice.
Active Liver is the easy way to get daily detox to keep you healthy and feeling your best. Find Active Liver at your local CVS or online at Amazon or newnordicusa.com.
Audio streaming on KURV.com. Powered by South Texas Buick GMC, McAllen Mission.
KONDA. Happy Wednesday. You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV, your 956 drive home with Zach Cantu and the living legend Davis Rankin. We've got Astros tomorrow. It's the Astros against the Mariners. Mariners stopping by to visit. That's happening at 7:10 first pitch. Your home for Astros baseball, 710 KURV, made possible by Dr. T's Primary Care for Men and Women and Mission Economic Development Corporation. Your 710 KURV exclusive AccuWeather forecast. Considerable cloudiness with a thunderstorm. It's going to be humid. It's humid now. I was just outside doing an Instagram video for you all on our 710 KURV Instagram. There's a chance of hail, damaging winds, you name it. Stay tuned to News Talk 710 KURV for updates on that. We've got to check Q&A of AccuWeather coming up at the top of the next hour, where we should have a better idea of what exactly is supposed to be happening this evening. We may actually have some chance of thunderstorm tomorrow, but I mean, this is a very fluid and changing situation. Valley's News and Weather Station, News Talk 710 KURV. Back to the KURV soundboard. Once I figure out where we left off because the page jumped. No! Yes. President Trump has put a priority on domestic manufacturing. There's now a push to include prescription drugs, which experts say would bring the prices down.
Idea of a multi-state compact where states are basically improving the market environment to make drug manufacturing viable.
As Dr. Clifford Porter with the Texas Public Policy Foundation says most of the drugs come from China. You remember during the Rona, Davey, where it really highlighted our dependence on other countries because we couldn't get stuff like even Tylenol, I think, at the time, because China was hoarding everything. We couldn't get antibiotics. It was pretty difficult around that time. Remember, like when it was first starting in 2020?
Yeah, I remember that. That's what started the nearshoring or onshoring or abandoning China. That plus their aggressiveness in foreign policy.
In Trump's opinion, not Trump's opinion, Dr. Clifford Porter with the Texas Public Policy Foundation, he says that the drugs from China are also not well regulated. That's interesting. So domestic manufacturing of drugs would also improve outcomes for patients. And he's arguing for a manufacturing quota where drug makers could bid for the right to produce high demand medications. Here's more from the good doctor.
The supply chain is a serious problem.
Most drugs come from China, he says, and states could pull resources to do the research needed for manufacturing.
If we can get that to the point of generics, we could actually really create market options.
It was consensus it's building consensus for Republicans. President Trump's one big, beautiful bill. The Capitol Hill budget hearing started at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Contains the largest tax cuts, security investment, and spending reduction in the history of the United States of America.
Congressman Jody Arrington says if passed, the proposal will unleash American prosperity and rein in wasteful spending. The Texas Republican mocked Democrats for opposing the bill that supports the military and prevents social services from going to illegal immigrants. Isn't that the technicality, Davey? They're going to cut your benefits if you're an illegal immigrant. That's in parentheses. They're going to cut all the benefits.
I'm not understanding. I didn't think they could get anyone who's here unlawfully couldn't get benefits. I'm told sometimes they're here, adults are here unlawfully. The kids are entitled to benefits.
That sounds like a loophole to me, Davey. Congressman Joni Arrington calls it a historic moment, though.
It's a generational opportunity to reclaim the American promise, to renew the American spirit, and restore America's greatness.
Democrats who oppose the bill, he says, are out of touch.
The American people gave President Trump a mandate to reverse course on the failed policies of the last 4 years. Let's give the voters what they asked for.
House Republicans working to push through President Trump's budget priorities. Some conservatives feel, surprisingly enough, that the bill does not make enough cuts to spending. And one of those guys is Congressman Chip Roy from Texas.
We want to save money. We want to save as much money as we can. But we want to do it the right way to deliver for hardworking Americans who are getting left behind by government here, Republican and Democrat, who keep spending money we don't have.
What ratio of truth versus grandstanding do you think that is, Davey, for Congressman Chip Roy? Because you know he's going to vote for it eventually. you know what I mean?
I don't know that at all.
But how much of that do you think is him trying to score points?
Well, 100% and 0%. That's his opinion. That he's been consistent. That's been a consistent point of view for him, and he doesn't seem to mind. You hear it, I hear it. We go, oh boy, president's going to be unhappy with him. Well, it doesn't seem to make him back off. So that's the real Chip Roy. He makes a very good point that if we're really in trouble, then we should not be doing this budget because it makes more trouble. It doesn't get us out of it. It reinforces it, the spending patterns.
Speaker Mike Johnson said that he hopes a vote will take place on the legislation, the big beautiful bill, as soon as tonight. They've been talking about this since 1 a.m. Eastern time. President Trump met with House Republicans yesterday in an effort to get some support for the bill, threatening those who don't back him with getting knocked out so fast, so very, very quickly. The GOP can only afford 3 no votes from its members if all of the Democrats remain opposed. The nonpartisan Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget estimates the original version of the bill would add $3.3 trillion to the deficit. That's another one of those things, right? That's kind of like, oh, there's a lot of spending, but I feel like it's not one of those we're going to be doing this all the time type things. I feel like this is one of those we just need to budget all this stuff and get it out of the way, and kind of sip on that price tag for a little bit before approving more spending. I could be wrong on that because DC is DC. You know what I mean?
You're hopelessly naive and logical and responsible, which means you'll never get in Congress.
Thank God.
Committee.
Thank God, because I would have torched that place. if I got elected, I would have torched the whole place. I don't mean figuratively. I would have set fire to something.
That's what, even if you're in Congress.
Huh?
I don't think that's legal, even if you're a member of Congress.
Yeah, well,
he burned the Capitol down, but that's okay. He's a congressman.
I tripped over a plug. That's how it happened. It's a plan to ban cell phones, is what I was trying to say. In Texas public schools getting support. It's backed by anti-bullying activists who said, and hold on, I mean all that figuratively. Don't come at me. Don't investigate me, anything like that. I mean that figuratively. No. I mean that figuratively. I'm not what do they call it? A pyromaniac or anything like that. Don't come at me. Plan to ban cell phones in Texas public schools getting support. It's backed by anti-bullying activists who said that the access to social media is making classrooms dangerous.
In 2023, approximately 781,000 Texas children self-reported cyberbullying victimization.
Maureen Molak's son, David, committed suicide after being bullied online. Much of that happened, she says, while he was at school. The bill in the state legislature would ban cell phones starting at the opening bell all the way to when class lets out for the day. It allows districts the flexibility to craft rules on how and where phones would need to be stored. Nearly 800,000 Texas kids say that they were harassed online.
And an alarming number of these incidents occurred during school.
I mean, I don't doubt it. Kids can be mean. You know, the rumor mill for kids, you know, they're not supposed to do it, but they do it.
Should there be the same reaction when people threaten to kill you. Everybody has read about somebody, they're threatening to kill me, kill my family. Shouldn't we make an effort? Shouldn't an effort be made to find the people who do that?
I'm sure death threats are included in this, but I'm pretty sure it's just very superficial bullying that's going on.
Well, you
online.
can't go up to somebody, you can't get to find and say, I'm going to go get my gun and I'm coming back. I don't think that's legal.
Okay, I understand, but that's not what I'm getting at. I don't think that that's what the majority of the bullying online was, Davey.
No.
I think it was just kids making fun of kids. Oh, so-and-so is so lame, and I'm being very, very, I am censoring this very, very heavily. People making up rumors about people and posting them anonymously on pages and stuff like that. I guarantee you the kids are doing it.
Should grown-ups go after those folks?
If they know about it, but that's the hard part, is finding it out that it's happening. Sometimes the cool kids will stay in a clique.
Yeah.
And those secrets will get passed around the clique, and sometimes there's a leak and it'll reach the target, right? But what are you going to do about it? Now, if you have proof of it, right? If you have proof of that the account is there, I mean, you're going to have to do some forensics to prove that so-and-so owns that account and so-and-so was in charge of the bullying, right? So that's why it's very, very complicated. But it does happen.
Okay.
I'm sure of it. Where did I leave off here? Yes, we forgot to talk about I needed to make time for this. Tensions running high at the White House as President Trump confronted the president of South Africa over allegations of genocide against the white Africans. With reporters and the president present in the Oval Office, Trump played video clips where he says he says it proves that there is genocide.
You're taking people's land away.
We have not.
From them. And those people, in many cases, are being executed. They're being executed. And they happen to be white, and most of them happen to be farmers. And that's a tough situation. I don't know how you explain that. How do you explain that?
The South African president has denied those allegations, telling Trump that there is a minority party behind the tensions between blacks and whites. He went on to stress that he wants to sit down and talk about the issue. Can you imagine being invited to the White House as the president, right? And then just being, as it turns out, it wasn't, no. Oh, as it turns out, this is an intervention. As a diplomat, as a leader of your country, as a representative of your country, you're invited to the leader of the free world's house. And you think, yeah, we're probably going to talk about economic prosperity and we're going to get all this stuff. It's going to be neat. I'm going to get so much clout for shaking the guy's hand. And then they dim the lights and they played a video. Just like, this is your life. And they showed the video, which I'm sure was very gruesome. I didn't get a chance to see it. But coming out and saying, well, this is an intervention. There's a lot of allegations you need to address. And just having that wide-eyed deer in the headlights look.
I don't. Yeah, I agree. I don't think that's the right way to do it. I don't think Mr. Trump is in command of all the facts. It's a terrible situation. Terrible. What I believe, and I hope I'm right, is that at some point the white minority took land from black possessors. They just took it. I guess it'd be farmers, but yeah, I think the farming economy is white or mostly white. That's what I've read over the years. But maybe they went behind closed doors and knocked a few back, and decided to talk about it.
So here's an interesting concept. So President Trump said thousands of white Afrikaners want to flee to the U.S. And he's presenting this, hey, to the leader of the country. Your country ain't that great because a lot of people are trying to leave your country and come to my country. I think that's interesting, considering the amount of people that tried to come into the country illegally, and they're presenting this publicly on the world stage.
Yeah.
And kind of just addressing these issues. What problems are you having at home that everybody's trying to leave? Something's going on there. Can we get to the bottom of this? Can we promise to fix it?
I would think, yeah. I think ever since
I don't see a problem with that.
No, it plays into the narrative or to a narrative about Mr. Trump that he's a racist. And I say again, I don't think he's a racist as I define it.
You think so?
No, I don't think he's a racist as I define it. Believing
No. I haven't seen reaction to this if they're calling him racist. I mean, I'm sure some people with really low reading comprehension would say, "Oh, look, it's a white man condescending to a black man."
I'm talking about over the years.
I see what you mean. All right. Well, we're out of time either way, David. You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV, your 956 drive home. Coming up next on the program, we're talking about the President Biden auto pen. How does that work? You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV. Stay tuned for a check of AccuWeather coming up at the top of the hour. I'm looking at radar right now. We have a couple of storm cells west-southwest of the Rio Grande Valley that should be coming in just a couple of hours. You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV.
This is your news and talk station for the Rio Grande Valley. News Talk 710 KURV.
Listen closely. I'm going to tell you how to find out what's going on. What a lot of people don't know. We're going to turn you on to it. Because I figure anybody who's listening to talk radio, they want to know. They want to know what's what and who's who. Go to your computer and go to the search bar. Type in Port of Brownsville. Port of Brownsville, conventional spelling. Hit enter, hit enter, and you'll get Port of Brownsville. It comes up, beautiful picture of the port and nice blue water, and the channel which goes from where all the buildings are out to the Gulf of Mexico. That's the way the ships come in and go out. And if they don't have that channel, I'm not sure you can call it a port. Then go to Newsroom. Click on Newsroom or hover over Newsroom. Go to News, right? And then page changes. Go to scroll down, Recent News, left-hand side, all the way. 89 years strong, Port of Brownsville rises to number 41 in U.S. port rankings. Now, I'm not throwing rocks at other media outlets or anything. That's not my point. My point is that there's a lot of stuff goes on. It just doesn't make the news. But so you got to dig to get it. This is a great website, portofbrownsville.com. You can sign up for the monthly newsletter. This story will be in the monthly newsletter. It's a great website. It's easy to navigate. The stories are interesting. They're not intricate stuff that only people who work there would be interested in. And you find out that Port of Brownsville, there's 150 water ports in the U.S. It's now number 41. It's vaulted up. So will it be number one? You have to stay tuned to porterbrownsville.com.
This is Joe Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the nation's largest family law firm, but we're more than just size. We're part of your community. With offices across the country, our attorneys and staff live and work right where you do. And because we're local, we know your courts, your laws, and your legal community. When divorce puts your future on the line, you need a firm that's both powerful and personal. Call Cordell & Cordell.
Offices in San Antonio, Austin, and St. Louis. Schedule an appointment with one of our firm's San Antonio area attorneys. Joseph Cordell, Principal Partner. CordellCordell.com.
Hey, is it just me, or are there way more ducks in the office than usual?
Hadn't noticed, but now that you mention it, this is quite a lot of ducks.
What are they doing here?
Oh, they heard Mighty Mike now offers duct cleaning.
Yeah, but that's not ducks, it's ducts.
Yeah, you want to tell them that? You'll have one serious quack attack on your hands.
What's your plan?
Embrace it. I call the one in the shower cap Sir Duckworth.
Yep, Mighty Mike now offers duct cleaning. Call 956-686-1353 for big savings on your next bill. You know we had to do it.
Look for us online at callmightymike.com.
Magic Valley Electric prides itself on offering all of our members some of the lowest energy rates in the Rio Grande Valley. As a not-for-profit cooperative, our commitment is to the people we serve. We know that as South Texas heat starts to rise, so will energy bills. That's why we've created new billing programs for members to help control their energy and save money. Learn more about all the great programs we offer and get helpful tips on electricity by going to magicvalley.coop today.
Pain management specialist Dr. Dennis Slavin on joint pain.
Our website is feelingbetteratLast.com because that's what people say as they leave my office. They really are feeling better at last. Hi, I'm Dr. Dennis Slavin with some sound advice on achy joints. You need to get your walk in or hit the golf course, or with every step you take, it hurts. Oftentimes I hear from patients, my knees hurt and I can't do what I want. I don't want surgery and I don't get adequate pain relief with pain medication. They feel stuck with their knee pain. There is another option besides surgery or pain meds: sodium hyaluronate treatments. The way it describes this treatment to patients is like it's WD-40 for the knee. The sodium hyaluronate is a natural lubricant that also stimulates your knee joint to produce its own lubricant, and when precisely injected with ultrasound guidance, provides superb pain relief.
With offices in McAllen and Weslaco, Dr. Dennis Slavin is only a phone call away, and many say it's the best call they've ever made. Call 956-973-0565. 973-0565.
Give your liver the support it needs with Active Liver. Go to NORDICUSA.com, Amazon, or ask for Okay, Active Dr. Gilson's Liver ready. at your local CVS. New you, new Nordic.
Fox News, I'm Tom Graham. President Trump receiving pushback at a White House meeting today after challenging South Africa's leader over claims of deadly violence against white farmers.
South African President Cyril Ramaphosa explained victims of violence are both white and black.
Our government policy is completely against what he was saying.
Ramaphosa says he is seeking a partnership with the U.S. to combat crime and improve trade relations.
Fox's Jared Halpern. Stocks taking a dive on Wall Street today, finishing deep in the red.
Most all of the Dow 30 members finished in the red. The worst decliners, United Health, Goldman Sachs, and American Express. The Dow falling 817 points, the Nasdaq lower by 270, S&P 500 down 96.
Fox's Hillary Barsky. America is listening to Fox News.
Your 710 KURV AccuWeather forecast: an evening thunderstorm, otherwise partly cloudy, warm and humid, the low 78. Very warm tomorrow with a blend of sun and clouds. Tomorrow's high 94 to 98. Tomorrow night, warm and humid, a mostly clear evening, followed by late night low clouds, the low 78. Partly sunny Friday with a high 93 to 98. Breezy, very warm Saturday, increasing clouds to start the holiday weekend, high 94 to 100. I'm AccuWeather's Drew Shannon on the Valley's official weather station, 710 KURV.
For the latest news
happening now,
and to find out what's happening in rich, clear audio, just say, Alexa, play 710 KURV.
You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV, your 956 drive home with Zach Cantu and the living legend Davis Rankin, taking a check of AccuWeather on the radar. And there's a few storm cells developing west-southwest of the Rio Grande Valley, mainly Starr County, Starr and Zapata. And that's going to be coming our general direction over the next few hours. We'll get a better idea of what's going on from AccuWeather coming up at the 5 o'clock hour. So stay tuned to News Talk 710 KURV, the Valley's news and weather station. Meanwhile, we're speaking with Cal Jillson, Professor Cal Jillson, to talk about the Joe Biden auto pen. See, I'm pretty sure a lot of people were being exposed to the auto pen for the very first time during the Joe Biden presidency. So what is the auto pen?
Well, the auto pen is an automatic signing machine that replicates the president's signature so that he doesn't sign all of the thousands of documents that require his signature over the course of a week, say.
What are the rules of engagement for using the auto pen?
Well, I think the rules of engagement would be set by the president and the chief of staff of the White House. It is not mandatory, so far as I know, for the president to manually sign things. He can use the auto pen, but who uses it on his behalf, I think, would be established by the usages of the White House, and probably that's something that the chief of staff, Susie Weil, and the secretary of the White House, who monitors paper flow, would set the rules on.
Davis, go ahead.
Yeah, let me ask one other question to kind of set things up. Are there documents, things that the President of the United States must sign for them to become valid? Like you have to sign I don't know, a check for it to become valid or contract.
Yeah, certainly any piece of legislation that comes over from the Congress has to receive the president's signature. But in this particular discussion, I think the question is whether there is a mandatory set of documents that the president has to sign manually, physically sign, as opposed to documents that go out under the president's name signed by an auto pen. And the auto pen has been around for quite a while. I mean, back several administrations. It's nothing new.
George Washington had, I believe George Washington had some sort of primitive setup to do that very thing, to be able to sign a number of...
Alexander Hamilton carried his quills.
Ah, okay. Well, this comes up because I've heard it's something in passing on Fox News, as if to say, if he was not all there all the time, and that's been established in these books, then who was running the show? Who was doing things? And the auto pen, and is it all about?
Let me springboard off of that, Davey. So I'm pretty sure there's plenty of people that think that if President Joe Biden was incapacitated in some way, shape, or form, if his mental acuity was not there, like we're getting more and more reports of, somebody may have been working behind the scenes. And again, we're not asking you to confirm or deny any of this, obviously, because you know as much as we do.
Sure.
Could that be used in a way where, because people like to cut corners, we're human, we're all human, you know what I mean? Where it's like, I really should do it this way, but it's like when you're teaching the new employee how to do things when they show up. Man, what's the way we're supposed to do it? Because we've been doing it like this for so long.
Yeah, I think it's possible that lots of different things happen, but the most likely thing that happened is if you distinguish between the president, Joe Biden at the time, the presidency, and the office of the president, you move from one guy, Joe Biden, to a White House staff that runs to 2,000, and so presidents make a lot of decisions, but they also establish policy direction that other people then develop alternatives for the president to select among. So even if Joe Biden was not at the top of his game all the time, that doesn't necessarily mean that other people were making important decisions on his behalf and signing them with an auto pen. I think the way to think about presidential decision making is that presidents are sitting in the middle of a White House operation of a couple thousand people, and they'll be in the Office of Management and Budget. They'll be in the foreign policy offices, domestic policy, and the president will be giving them direction, and they will be establishing then the alternatives to best pursue that direction, and they'll come back to the president for the final decision. So the presidency is not just Joe Biden. It's the office of the president that surrounds him. And even if it wasn't at the top of his game, the people around him who are now being described as having protected him are very much aware of what he's trying to do and would be moving to do it on his behalf. You never want a president that's compromised, but even a president that is compromised has people around him who know where he's going, even if he doesn't.
We've been here before with Woodrow Wilson. Do you happen to know what was done while he was incapacitated? And I told my co-host, to my knowledge, that the country didn't know that he'd had a stroke and couldn't be president.
Yeah, that's right. Wilson had a series of strokes and was deeply incapacitated. And his wife, Edith, I think was her name, Edith Wilson, stood in for him and managed the flow of people that got to see him on the topics that they wanted to see him on. And so Edith Wilson fulfilled most of the presidential responsibilities when Woodrow Wilson was incapacitated, and others who were in the inner circle worked with Edith Wilson to see that the business got done. And really, it was a matter of months. It was, it's not a short-term thing and the country was largely unaware of it. The government at the time was much smaller, and it played a much more limited role in people's daily lives. There was no television, no radio at the time, so you could hide a president pretty easily.
For the good old days.
Hide a president pretty easily.
It could be incapacitated.
Oh, man, that's funny because of all the jokes that they were hiding Joe Biden in the basement and bringing out like a mannequin and
in there and done that.
or a puppet and just having him out there.
In those days, when the president spoke, they didn't have he had to shout. He had to be heard in the back. And as I remember, it wore him out.
Right. I mean, you see all these pictures of Theodore Roosevelt on his train trips during campaigns, on the back of a train, shouting it out. And on one of those occasions, he was actually shot, just not wounded badly because he had a speech in his pocket, and it took most of the force of the bullet. But he went on to finish his speech and then was treated. So presidents over the course of American history have had various kinds of physical problems and other debilities that they've worked around. It's just much more difficult to do when the president is on television several times a day. And with Joe Biden, one of the things that brought so many of these questions forward is that his physical abilities, his walk, his gait, became so strange looking that people projected that into his mental abilities as well, and became very concerned. Many in the public very concerned that he wouldn't be able to finish another term and really should not be the Democratic Party candidate. And so what we've learned in the last several days has just brought all of that back up and confirmed for many people that Biden should not have been the nominee. And if people had known more about his real condition, he would have been forced to withdraw much earlier.
Thank you very much, Professor Gilson. We appreciate your time here this evening.
Thank you.
That's Professor Cal Gilson at SMU joining us on News Talk 710 KURV. You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV, your 956 drive home. Zach Cantu, Davey Do, and you taking a look at AccuWeather on the radar. We got a Q&A with AccuWeather coming up in the next hour, top of the next hour, in just a few minutes, maybe 10, 15 minutes on your 956 drive home. A few storm cells floating in our general direction. That could bring heavy rain, wind, and even hail, as some reports are coming in from AccuWeather. But we'll give you all the details in the next hour. The Valley's news and weather station, News Talk 710 KURV. So, Davey, what did you learn about the auto pen today?
That this is no big deal, really. No, it looks bad. I mean, obviously, it looks bad. President.
Yes. That's the whole point we're discussing it, Davey. The auto pen. Yes, it looks really bad.
But the fact that my question was, does the president have to oversee it, or is there something he himself must sign, like a contract? And I gather that's not necessarily true. So, yeah, we need to find out who is running the show. We need to have a blow-by-blow of who is doing what, which we'll probably never get. You think about that, going back 4 years. When was he non-compos mentis, and who was filling in for him? I've started reading.
I think the thing that's important, Davey, is that it's perception, right? Optics in the public eye, where how much trust do you have in the government, especially with the level of corruption of people trying to get away with things and getting found out later, that they weren't breaking the rules on the auto pen, and that they weren't just doing stuff like it never really felt that Joe Biden was in charge during his 4 years of the presidency. So I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that's going to come out in the coming months and years from that era. You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV. A check of AccuWeather coming up.
Stay ahead of the game with News Talk 710 KURV. Follow us on LinkedIn. Exclusive news updates and in-depth audio and video interviews on topics that matter to you, your business, your industry. Follow us on LinkedIn and join a growing community of smart, savvy listeners like you. Network, connect, and never miss a beat from the Rio Grande Valley's trusted news source. Stay informed, stay connected, and stay ahead. It's time to take the conversation further. Follow News Talk 710 KURV on LinkedIn today. If you're looking to stay ahead in the fast-paced world of business, tune into News Talk 710 KURV, the pulse of Valley business, bringing you the latest headlines, expert insights, and real stories shaping the Rio Grande Valley's economy. From local innovation to global markets, we've got it covered. Stay informed, stay connected. Your go-to for everything business. The pulse of Valley business. News Talk 710 KURV, where knowledge meets opportunity. Join us each weekday morning at 9 for The Sergio Show with Sergio Sanchez. It's a blend of sizzling news topics, insightful local guest interviews, and informative discussions that matter to you.
Senator John Cornyn, my guest right now. Congressman Henry Clare, our Governor Greg Abbott joining us.
Your source for news, views, interviews, and everything in between. The Sergio Show with Sergio Sanchez. Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk 710 KURV, KURV.com, and on the Radio Parami app.
Hey, Rio Grande Valley fam. This is Dana Lash inviting you to join me tomorrow morning at 11.
The media literally just ran under the velvet rope to join us, the poor, on the other side going, yeah, someone should have told us. It's like that scene from Mean Girls. She doesn't even go here. That's what's happening right now. Where were you guys at this whole time? You guys knew this.
Tune in for the Dana Lash Show tomorrow morning at 11 on News Talk 710 KURV, KURV.com, and on the Radio Parami app. History's unfolding, and you're listening to it on News Talk 710 KURV, Edinburgh, McAllen, Harlingen, Brownsville.
Staying the course. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Despite an effort by the Trump administration to end them, the city of Minneapolis says it's sticking with Biden-era police reforms.
We're doing it anyway.
Minneapolis Mayor Democrat Jacob Fry says the city will not deviate from Biden-era consent decrees after the Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division's announcement that it's moving away from those policies and dropping lawsuits and investigations nationwide on departments over alleged unconstitutional policing.
Neither Trump, nor anyone in Washington can stop us from doing this work that we are indeed committed to.
Policies the DOJ says handcuffed local leaders and police departments and imposed years of costly micromanagement by unelected, unaccountable, and anti-police bureaucrats.
Fox's Jeff Manasso. In January, Minneapolis approved a plan to overhaul its training and use of force policies under court supervision after the death of George Floyd in 2020. After a White House meeting, House Speaker Mike Johnson says President Trump's so-called big beautiful bill is moving forward, though it's not clear if there will be a vote tonight or tomorrow.
Conservatives are upset that the GOP brass cut a deal over SALT. That's the tax break for high-tax states. The White House fired a warning shot toward those who might cross President Trump. The White House says the president wants this bill, adding, quote, failure to pass this bill would be the ultimate betrayal.
Fox's Chad Pergram. Wall Street, the major indexes had the biggest daily percent drop since April 21st as concerns rise about the president's spending bill. The Dow lost 816, the NASDAQ off 270, the S&P minus 95. President Trump met this afternoon with the leader of South Africa, where he raised allegations of genocide against white farmers. President Cyril Ramaphosa said those who called for the deaths of the farmers are from an extremist group. America's listening to Fox News.
Not everyone who handles your personal information is as careful as you are, which might explain why there's a victim of identity theft every 5 seconds in the United States. Fortunately, there's LifeLock. LifeLock will monitor hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity. And if your identity's stolen, a U.S.-based restoration specialist will fix it guaranteed or your money back. Save 40% your first year with my name, Clay, as your promo code at LifeLock.com. LifeLock. For the threats you can't control, terms apply.
Why'd I go to the doctor? My heart would race just taking my son to practice. It didn't feel right. So I got checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
A UK court orders singer Chris Brown freed on bail.
A British judge has released Chris Brown on $6.7 million bail after he was charged with assaulting a music producer at a London nightclub in 2023. The Grammy-winning singer is accused of hitting producer Abe Dial with a bottle and then kicking and punching him in an attack caught on surveillance video inside the taped nightclub. Prosecutors called it unprovoked and serious. The judge ruled that Brown can continue his world tour, including stops in the UK, but must pay the bail to ensure his return to court. The 36-year-old R&B star was initially ordered held in custody, putting his tour in jeopardy. He's now due back in court June 20th. His tour begins June 8th in Amsterdam, with North American dates set for July. Michelle Polino, Fox News.
Forecasters say an unusual May nor'easter is set to hit New England tomorrow, and they warn it could bring a mix of rain and snow to northern New England. The heaviest rain likely to fall in Rhode Island and eastern Massachusetts, but forecasters say catastrophic flooding is not expected. A fan who was hit by a baseball during a game.
Hi, Bob. Is that you? Hey, Bob, is that you?
Yeah, it's me. Can you hear me? Not hear me?
Oh, yeah, there you are. Get standby.
Okay.
Fans less focused on the action.
Fox's Tony Genualdo. A dust devil captured in the latest selfie by NASA's Mars Perseverance rover. The dust devil, which looks like a small puff, was about 3 miles behind the rover during this month's photo shoot. The selfie is a composite of 59 images taken by the camera on the end of the rover's robotic arm. I'm Lisa Lacera. This is Fox News.
Your 710 KURV AccuWeather forecast: an evening thunderstorm, otherwise partly cloudy, warm and humid, the low 78. Very warm tomorrow with a blend of sun and clouds. Tomorrow's high 94 to 98. Tomorrow night, warm and humid, a mostly clear evening, followed by late night low clouds, the low 78. Partly sunny Friday with a high 93 to 98. Breezy, very warm Saturday, increasing clouds to start the holiday weekend, high 94 to 100. I'm AccuWeather's Drew Shannon on the Valley's official weather station, 710 KURV.
This is the story of the one.
As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Active Liver is the easy way to get daily detox to keep you healthy and feeling your best. Find Active Liver at your local CVS or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
Charlie Kirk here, host of The Charlie Kirk Show. Join me as we dive deep in the headlines and challenge the narrative and uncover the stories that matter to you. Weeknights starting at 8 on News Talk 710 KURV.
From the KURV Broadcast Center, this is the 956 Drive Home.
All right, we're doing this. Put on your seatbelt, check your mirrors. Let's begin.
Buckle up and get ready to talk about today's headlines and topics important to you. Here's Zach Cantu and Davis Rankin.
Big Wednesday, K-owned as KURV faithful. You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV or 956 Drive Home with Zach Cantu, the living legend, Davis Rankin, and Bob Larson from AccuWeather. We have some what seemed to be increasingly more serious thunderstorm cells southwest of us in the Rio Grande Valley. Bob Larson's here to give you the play-by-play for what's supposed to happen this evening.
Zach, there has been continued development, as you mentioned, over the past hours, about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago, when we first started to see evidence of these storms forming on the other side of the Rio Grande. They're expanding northward, northeastward, but not moving all that quickly. They have become severe where they are occurring. And from looking at this radar, I suspect there's some hail underneath the center of some of these storms, clearly very heavy rain. But they're moving in such a fashion that it looks as though the entire area is not going to get wet. I'm talking about our more immediate local area. This is going to be kind of a feast or famine situation where the storms do arrive, and that's most likely to be to our west. There's certainly going to be heavy rain and potential for some locally severe storms. But again, it's not going to rain everywhere. So I can't promise widespread rain similar to what we saw earlier this spring.
Yeah, it looks like Zapata, Star, and like Ranch Country is going to get the brunt of this. But any chances of like a last-minute easterly breeze that'll push things that way?
No, I don't think they're really going to move east all that much. What I am seeing, though, is some small and relatively light showers that are developing a little bit closer to home, not directly associated with this cluster of heavy storms. So there's at least a scattering of showers. They're just south of McAllen right now, another one farther to the north and west. Very small, not terribly heavy. So really anywhere within the region is fair game for at least a brief shower over the next few hours. But in terms of heavy rain, it's going to be in areas that you just described. It's basically going to be to the west and northwest of the area. They're going to be moving in and advancing slowly over the course of the next couple of hours. Should be winding down between 9 p.m. and midnight.
All right. Should they still be expecting hail today?
Certainly under the center of these storms, there looks as though there's already hail occurring. But by the time they reach us and get a little bit closer, I think the odds of that occurring might be a little less than what we're seeing now. Would not rule it out.
Looking forward into tomorrow, are there still chances of rain and thunderstorms?
Not all that much. In fact, tomorrow looking a lot like today without the thunderstorm possibility. I think the chance of any storms tomorrow is going to be a lot less than what we're seeing today, and we can more or less maintain that type of forecast as we head into the holiday weekend. Maybe all the way through the holiday weekend for that matter.
All right. Thanks a lot, Bob Larson from AccuWeather, joining us on News Talk 710 KURV, the Valley's news and weather station. Coming up next on the program, we got a lot to talk about this hour. That's right. We have SpaceX potentially launching very, very soon, plus what's going on in the restaurant industry. Let's take a check of that on today, National Waitstaff Day. You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV.
And now, important moments in news history.
I read your first book. You were for individual mandates, my friend.
Rick, I'll tell you what. $10,000, $10,000 bet.
I'm not in the betting business, but I'll show you the book.
I've got the book.
This has been important moments in news history.
Zach Cantu, 710 KURV.
Home. For some, it's where the heart is. A feeling of comfort and care that hits, well, close to home. For others, home is something bigger, a belonging that goes beyond a zip code and more about living by a code of service and commitment for everyone, everywhere. At Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Texas, we've shared the same communities with our members for over 95 years. And while we'll always be your one local and trusted healthcare partner, we are forever committed to ensuring access to the highest quality, affordable care through every stage of life, empowering whole person health with compassion and innovation, one member at a time. Because wherever in the world your journey leads, we'll make sure you always feel right at home.
Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Texas, a division of Healthcare Service Corporation, a mutual legal reserve company.
An illegal alien from Guatemala charged with raping a child in Massachusetts. An MS-13 gang member from El Salvador accused of murdering a Texas man. A Venezuelan charged with filming and selling child pornography in Michigan. These are just some of the heinous migrant criminals caught because of President Donald J. Trump's leadership. I'm Kristi Noem, the United States Secretary of Homeland Security. Under President Trump, attempted illegal border crossings are at the lowest levels ever recorded, and over 100,000 illegal aliens have been arrested. If you are here illegally, you're next. You will be fined nearly $1,000 a day, imprisoned, and deported. You will never return. But if you register using our CBP Home app and leave now, you could be allowed to return legally. Do what's right. Leave now. Under President Trump, America's laws, border, and families will be protected.
Sponsored by the United States Department of Homeland Security.
Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage. For a limited time, go to rapidradios.com now for 60% off and free UPS shipping. Add code RADIO and get an extra 5% off.
Broadcasting from the Valley's commercial and fleet headquarters studio at PayneAutoGroup.com. You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV.
Hey, happy Wednesday. You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV or 956 Drive Home. I'm Zach Cantu along with the living legend Davis Rankin. As you heard from AccuWeather, we're getting a couple of severe thunderstorms heading in our direction, but I think it's going to miss the Hidalgo, Willacy, Cameron area. I don't think it's going to move any more eastward than it is right now, and which means Zapata, Star, and Ranch Country north of Hidalgo might be receiving the brunt of this, some heavy rains and winds and potentially even hail. We might get some residuals around those other three counties, but that might be it for right now. So we'll keep an eye on this. So stay tuned to News Talk 710 KURV. If anything crazy happens and shows up on the radar, we'll let you know. The Valley's news and weather station. Meanwhile, yes, how could I forget? The Houston Astros. Astros went up against the Rays earlier today. The Rays, unfortunately, took that and the series. 8-4 was today's final. Tomorrow, it's a visit from the Mariners. The Astros hosting the Mariners, and that's happening at 7:10 on News Talk 710 KURV. Your home for Houston Astros baseball, made possible by Dr. T's Primary Care for Men and Women and Mission Economic Development Corporation. I accidentally refreshed the page. Give me a second while it loads again. My fat sausage fingers completely just ruined the beginning of the flow of the segment. The superintendent of the Mercedes School District apologizing after being arrested for driving while intoxicated. Benjamin Clinton was arrested by state troopers in Los Fresnos last Friday. Investigators say Clinton smelled strongly of alcohol and that several liquor bottles were found in his vehicle. Clinton issued a statement yesterday saying he recognized the turmoil and disappointment that followed his arrest and that it doesn't reflect his values as a person or a leader. The school board was meeting privately last night to discuss Clinton's employment. City of Brownsville warning residents about the upcoming launch of the 9th Starship mission. It was a post on social media yesterday indicating the launch could happen Tuesday. The post noted that sonic booms could be heard and felt in Brownsville, Port Isabel, South Padre Island during the launch window. SpaceX still does need the official okay from the FAA before that particular launch can happen. A property tax break for homeowners faces a final House vote today. The state representatives unanimously gave their preliminary approval to a couple of bills on Tuesday. Senate Bill 4 would raise the state's homestead exemption from $100,000 to $140,000. Senate Bill 23 would raise a separate homestead exemption for senior or disabled homeowners from $10,000 to $60,000. Both bills are the work of State Senator Paul Bettencourt, a Houston Republican. Sorry, at the same time, I was looking for an update to see if there was anything very quickly offhandedly, and I have not been able to locate that, so I apologize for sounding distracted. The No Tax on Tips Act. Moving on to the Texas House after it passed with unanimous bipartisan support in the Senate on Tuesday. Republican Senator our Fighting Texas Wolverine Ted Cruz of Texas introduced the bill earlier this year. The bill establishes a new tax deduction of up to $25,000 a year for tips. President Donald Trump suggested this idea during his campaign, and Democrats also copied it. That's my editorial, by the way. It doesn't really say that in the copy. Because they did. They absolutely copied it. Right, Davey? Even you got to admit it on this one.
Yep.
I'll take it. You know what? A resounding yep from you. I'll take it.
Yepers. You betcha, by golly.
Yes. Gosh darn it. Yeah. Eliminating taxes on tips also expected to be included in the House GOP mega bill. Let's see. The Texas Attorney General's office have seized some Frio County officials' cell phones into an investigation into possible vote harvesting schemes. That's ongoing. Cell phones were collected from County Commissioners Joe Vela and Raul Carrizales, Pearsall ISD board member Mari Benavides, and former Pearsall Mayor Petra Trevino. Carrizales' mother and Vela's sister also surrendered their phones to investigators, and no charges have been filed as of yet. You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV. This is your 956 Drive Home. Coming up next in the program, it's National Waitstaff Day, but some restaurants are having a hard time finding servers. Why is that? We'll get a check of the restaurants coming up next on News Talk 710 KURV, your 956 Drive Home.
This is Michael Berry of the Michael Berry Show, inviting you to stay tuned and join me later this evening, starting at 6, right after the 956 Drive Home with Zach and Davis on News Talk 710 KURV and on the Radio Para-Me app.
At Rivetta's Machinery on the Expressway in Donna, they're bringing the best deals on Coyote equipment to your job site, farm, backyard, wherever you guys agree to meet. And right now, you can take advantage of 0% interest or up to $6,000 cash back on Coyote track loaders and skid steers, machines built for maximum performance, no matter the task. But don't stop there. They're also offering fantastic savings on Coyote tractors, zero-turn mowers, and utility vehicles. And whether you're hauling, mowing, tackling some other big job, Coyote has the equipment to help you get it done. If you're looking for great deals and great service from a team that treats you like family, look no further than Rivetta's Machinery and KIOTI Coyote. Start your next project the right way by visiting Rivetta's Machinery in Donna or browse their deals anytime at mynewtractor.com. That's mynewtractor.com. Rivetta's for the long haul. See dealer for full details.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Are you tired of waiting hours in your doctor's waiting room? Sitting around waiting to see a doctor isn't fun, and we know your time is valuable. The good news is that the physicians at Rio Grande Pain Team can help. Rio Grande Pain Team helps patients find relief from chronic neck pain, back pain, migraine headaches, and joint pain. And at Rio Grande Pain Team, we schedule your visits accordingly. Rio Grande Pain Team recently added providers, and we utilize the latest in scheduling software so our patients are seen on time for their visits and treatments. There's no need to wait 5 hours in a physician's office. At Rio Grande Pain Team, you no longer have to live with chronic pain. Dr. Dennis Slavin can help and have you feeling better at last. Book your appointment now in Weslaco or McAllen by signing on to our website, feelingbetteratLast.com. That's feelingbetteratLast.com, or call 956-973-0565. That's 973-0565. 973-0565.
Give your liver the support it needs with Active Liver. Go to NORDICUSA.com, Amazon, or ask for Active Liver at your local CVS. New you, new Nordic.
710 KURV. Streaming live at KURV.com. Powered by Texas Mutual Workers Compensation Insurance. A policyholder-owned company. Work safe, Texas.
You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV, AAA Radio. Awesome as always. Eccan2 and the Living Legend, Davis Rankin, your 956 drive home. Check of AccuWeather says that we're supposed to be getting some thunderstorms today. And looking at the radar, it says that it's going to be Zapata and Star about to get the brunt of it in just a little bit, plus a lot of ranch country. Hidalgo, Willacy, Cameron might not get a whole lot of this. There might be some scattered showers as it whizzes by, but I don't think there's going to be much more than that. At least that's what the confirmation was from AccuWeather, plus some hail for you guys that are in that storm cell, by the way. The Valley's News and Weather Station, News Talk 710 KURV. Did you know, Davey Do? Sometimes your serving staff does not get enough credit when you go out to the restaurants. People waiting on you. They don't get enough credit sometimes.
Yes.
And today is National Waitstaff Day, and some restaurants are having a hard time finding and keeping servers. And I'm sure there's more to this than just the pay, especially post-Rona. I've been hearing a lot more people have been a lot ruder as customers going into places. But let's hear from the man. Sharif Mityas is a restaurant industry expert, the CEO of Brix Holding, a multi-brand franchising company specializing in food service chains. And they include a lot of big names, but he joins us now. So it's National Waitstaff Day. What does it take to be a server? Let's talk about the plight of the server for a second.
Well, it's a tough job, right? The whole restaurant industry, you've got to deal with consumers. You got to deal with guests that sometimes when something goes wrong, it's not your fault, right? Food was overcooked. That was back of house. That's not on the server, right? But who gets the brunt of it? So it's a tough job dealing with different types of consumers. Some are in a bad mood. Some are, demanding, and it's the front lines.
I used to be real good friends with some people that worked at Denny's, and some of the wisdom that was passed down to them was people are real hangry until they get their food, and they might be very moody as they sit down and they're ordering and they're real picky about things. But once they get the meal and they've had a few bites of it, they start to open up and they start to become like completely different people, Jekyll and Hyde even.
Yeah, well, it definitely helps, right? And folks are very impatient, right? We've created consumers who have zero patience at this point, right? During the pandemic, you could basically go on your phone and order food and get it delivered to you. So that expectation of I want what I want when I want it is permeated actually into the restaurant as well.
Let's talk about the restaurant industry and what does it take to hire the work staff? What is it on managerial side, owner side, having to manage not only your employees coming in, but the inventory and the menus and just keeping everything for all of your customers happy?
Yeah, I mean, the toughest job is obviously that of the general manager, right? To your point, they've not only got to hire staff, but retain them, right? Keep them happy, keep that family going and working together, in addition to actually running the restaurant. So worried about ordering food and inventory control and waste, and managing all the controllable costs. So it's a multifaceted, very difficult role. And then that obviously goes all the way down to the back of house, the cooks, the servers, the front of house. It's a very high turnover industry, and the folks that do it well treat their teams really well, treat them as family. And to your point that you made earlier, it goes beyond the pay, right? People got to believe that they're there trying to make an impact, doing good, and really trying to help grow the company.
We're speaking with Sharif Mityas, who is CEO of Brix Holdings, and it's National Waitstaff Day. We're talking about that on News Talk 710 KURV. Davis Rankin, your question. Go ahead.
Have you ever waited tables, been a busboy, fry cook, whatever?
Yes. In fact, you'll find that most of the executives and leaders of all your restaurant groups out there started in the restaurants, right? We kind of all know what it was like to grow up there. And so, yeah, I used to flip burgers at 15 in the back of house at my little local restaurant burger joint. And so everyone kind of grows up in the industry. It's very tight-knit that way.
Can I ask one more question? Occasionally I'll get notice, usually on an English newspaper website, of a company in America that's downsizing drastically or taking bankruptcy, almost all of which are not here in where we are. Is there something going on in restauranting that we need to know about?
I think there's just it's like any industry sector. There's going to be some winners and some losers, right? And folks that know how to do it right.
Yeah.
We've seen some of the restaurant bankruptcies this year. The TGI Fridays of the world. The Red Lobsters of the world. Those folks struggled. They couldn't figure it out, and unfortunately, they declared bankruptcy. But on the other hand, you have guys like Texas Roadhouse. You have guys like Chili's. Those guys are killing it. They've got great teams. They're doing really well, and they're growing. And so it's really all about, getting to the details, really understanding the team you're putting out there, the food you're putting out there, and ensuring that consumers having a great guest experience.
We're speaking with Sharif Mitias, who is a restaurant industry expert, joining us on 710 KURV. Sorry, Dave, I had to interrupt you for that. Go ahead with your question.
I've noticed that you guys, Bricks owns Red Mango. Still own it?
That's right.
The frozen yogurt place, my favorite. Sometimes you go into a frozen yogurt place and they all act like they're zombies. They're not friendly at all, which doesn't bother me because I'm not there. But in others, they're very. What's the secret to making those things go, if there is one?
Yeah, well, to your point, it's just being hospitable, right? We're in the hospitality business, and even though in those frozen yogurt shops like our Red Mangoes, it's very, kind of consumer focused, right? In terms of you go, you pull the handles, you get your Red Mango yogurt, you put the toppings on, but you still want a smiling face, right? You still want someone to greet you at the door. You still want someone to say thank you. And, it's the little things, but you notice, right? And so that's, again, really what separates the winners from the losers in our sector.
There's been a lot of talk about the restaurant industry and how much they're paying their workers. I'm sure that's been a tug of war, especially over the past couple of years. What kind of margins are we talking about for being a successful restaurant franchise and keeping the employees' lights on at home?
Yeah, it's a great question, and obviously that differs by state, right? In terms of minimum wage rates and what different states do with tip credit. But at the end of the day, we think, I think that it's stabilized a bit, and a solid franchisee, is making somewhere around 15 to 20% bottom line margin, which is pretty healthy in the restaurant space. But again, they're following the formula. They're paying their people right, and they're getting consumers to walk through their doors.
What advice would you have for customers that walk in and they want to have, they want to help the servers as much as they can and help streamline this whole process to eliminate any potential errors that might happen along the way? I know it's also very awkward when the tablet comes out and you're a cashier and the tablet's asking for a tip and the cashier really didn't do anything except bring you up. How do you navigate all these things as a customer?
Yeah, it's the tipping is a discussion we could have for another hour.
Well, go ahead. We got time.
I'll tell you what. No, let's just focus on. Hey, listen, I'm a customer. I want to go eat, and I want to streamline the process. I want to make sure I have an effective relationship with whoever is serving me. What are some tips for us?
I think the best thing is do unto others as you'd have them do unto you, right? I mean, you want to treat them with respect, and they will treat you with respect, and vice versa. And that's kind of what we teach our wait staff, right? Everyone, give them the benefit of the doubt, right? They're trying hard. Guests might be having a bad day, but we ask our guests to treat our servers with respect, to be cordial, and we ask our servers to obviously make every accommodation for our guests. So it's just, you got to just be, at the end of the day, be happy, right? You're going out to eat. You should be having a good experience. Try to make that a great experience for everyone involved.
Hey, thanks for hanging out with us today. Lots of great answers from Sharif Mitias, who is a restaurant industry expert, CEO of Bricks Holdings, joining us on News Talk 710 KURV. Check of AccuWeather says that we've got some big thunderstorms headed to Zapata and Star counties right now. Hidalgo might get some of the residuals from that, but I don't know if the brunt of it is going to float over your particular area. We'll give you some more updates coming in and out of the breaks on News Talk 710 KURV, your 956 drive home.
Well, here it is, the middle of the week, and I know what you're thinking. I know what's on your mind. How can I get all the chores done so I can do what I really want to do? Now, even if you like your job, like we do here at the 956 Drive Home, even if you like your job, you have stuff that needs to be done and stuff that you want to do, things you want to do. So you're not looking forward to going home, frying up a bunch of meat, eating it, and then having to wash the dishes because everybody disappears because they don't want to do the dishes either, but somebody has to. So the solution is to let somebody else do all that. Somebody else who runs an operation which is set up for that sort of thing. And of course, I'm talking about Zamora's restaurants. I was going to say Zamora's Mexican food restaurants, but I don't think that's what they're called. But they're really not Mexican food restaurants. Those days are long gone. It's Mexican food and American food. But down here, it's all our food. Whatever it is you want, it's all our food. But if you lust for the taste of delicious South Texas Tex-Mex, you're going to be in hog heaven at Zamora's restaurant. And again, you go eat there and let them clean up, or you can also order it out and take it home. A little bit of cleanup, but not that much, not as much as if you'd done it yourself. And the menu is extensive, 50 years of experience right there in your hands. They know what you want, and they know how you want it done. Prices are very good. Service is terrific. It's a very nice place if you want to sit down, very family oriented. Zamora's Restaurants, McAllen in Edinburgh.
What are we doing? Oh, yeah. I don't know if when we're coming back, Joe, just letting you know I can't hear audio.
Health is wealth.
Thank you.
Exercise
There
is
you
the fountain
go.
of youth. There are no magic pills or injections to replace exercise, and with the help of Hess Fitness products, you can exercise in the safe comfort of your own home. Go to HessFitness.com. That's HessFitness.com. Look better, feel better, do
Incredible moment. Another open to the cameras moment in the Oval Office, meeting with the South African president, President Trump there. A very open conversation. At one point, the president's staff playing out a video showing these.
Dr. Rachel Gelman performs the Clear Lens exchange procedure to tailor
Where's
your vision to
Deucey?
your
Show me
lifestyle.
the
The
deuce.
result is overall visual improvement and reducing
Deucey.
dependency see on glasses. Call us today. Gelman
Your
Vision,
president came
your
here to
LASIK,
say
cornea,
there's
and
no
cataract specialty center.
Nothing helps your children with life more than confidence.
What is the
Confidence
reaction
is
so
what
far
they
there?
need to excel in school, in sports, and even on the playground. And where does that confidence start? Right in your own backyard. At Backyards Unlimited, our big redwood tree frog play systems aren't just swing sets. They're confidence builders. Imagine your child conquering a rock wall or mastering the monkey bars. That feeling, it carries over into how they play, how they learn, and how they interact with other children. For a toddler, that rock wall isn't just fun. It's teaching balance, motor skills, hand-eye coordination, and critical thinking. Every climb, swing, and hang is helping your child grow stronger inside and out. So what are you waiting for? Give your kids a head start in life by giving them a backyard full of possibilities. At Backyards Unlimited, we have every style of swing set imaginable to help your kids' imagination run wild. Backyards Unlimited on the expressway across from the Shrine in San Juan. Backyards Unlimited, where quality and service matter.
Active Liver is the easy way to get daily detox to keep you healthy and feeling your best. Find Active Liver at your local CVS or online at Amazon or newnordicusa.com.
If you're a rider, you have a huge competitor.
Are you watching it? The radar?
Yeah. Yep, I'm watching it.
Essays, news articles, and anything else you can imagine are written by ChatGPT or one of its rivals. Get this. To make sure you're never accused of using AI to do your work, the way to do it is, wait for it, use AI again, not once, but twice.
It might clip.
I'm Kim Commando for NetSuite.
Though.
Download the free CFO's Guide to Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning right
Those
now
little white spots
at
are hail, right?
NetSuite.com/Kim. It started with college professors and instructors. They began using AI to identify which student papers were generated using AI. But students began running all the written work through ChatGPT or another one with instructions to make the work not look like AI wrote it. Amazingly, this works. So now AI can write your paper. AI can edit to look like AI never touched it to begin with, too. What a time to be a writer. Give me 5 minutes and you'll always be tech ahead with my free newsletter at getkim.com. What does the future hold for business? Ask 9 experts and you'll get 10 answers. Rates rising or falling, inflation being up or down. Can someone please invent a crystal ball? Until then, over 41,000 businesses have future-proofed their business with NetSuite by Oracle, the #1 cloud ERP, bringing accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all into one fluid platform. With one unified business management suite, there's one source of truth, giving you the visibility and control you need to make quick decisions. With real-time insights and forecasting, you're peering into the future with actionable data. When you're closing the books in days, not weeks, you're spending less time looking backward and more time on what's next. And speaking of opportunity, you can now download the CFO's Guide to AI and Machine Learning at netsuite.com/Kim. The guide is free for you at netsuite.com/Kim. That's netsuite.com/Kim. netsuite.com/Kim.
Fox News, I'm John Saucier. President Trump hosting the president of South Africa at the White House says he wants to address what he's calling genocide against white African farmers before playing a video compilation of footage he says support the claims. South Africa's president, Cyril Ramaphosa, telling President Trump he's not seen this footage before.
We are here as a partner so that we can
That's exactly what I would
each
have
other whenever there are challenges.
I've never seen this before. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Of course, outside of the media, so that we sit down and have a really good discussion.
I think that's the natural reaction.
The South African
to that,
court
right?
ruling in February, these allegations were, quote, clearly imagined. Louisiana State Police say 2 more people have been arrested in connection with last week's jailbreak in New Orleans, where 10 prisoners escaped. Both people arrested accused of helping the fugitives. Of the 10 who escaped, 5 have now been captured. America's listening to Fox News.
Your 710 KURV AccuWeather forecast: an evening thunderstorm, otherwise partly cloudy, warm and humid, the low 78. Very warm tomorrow with a blend of sun and clouds. Tomorrow's high 94 to 98. Tomorrow night, warm and humid, a mostly clear evening, followed by late night low clouds, the low 78. Partly sunny Friday with a high 93 to 98. Breezy, very warm Saturday, increasing clouds to start the holiday weekend, high 94 to 100. I'm AccuWeather's Drew Shannon on the Valley's official weather station, 710 KURV.
News Talk 710 KURV. News and weather information at your fingertips.
There was only one place to get the information I needed.
Log on to KURV.com.
Hey, happy Wednesday. Zach Cantu and the living legend, Davis Rankin, your 956 drive home. And taking a check of AccuWeather radar right now, because that set of thunderstorms getting pretty close to Zapata and Starr County. I don't think, but I mean, weather is an ever-changing thing. It might clip northern Hidalgo. It might. I was checking the National Weather Service. I don't see any advisories out for anybody in particular, but we've got a lot of rain and wind and maybe even some hail for Zapata, Starr, and what looks like ranch country out there north of Hidalgo County. That's coming in pretty soon. I'll keep an eye on radar and give you the updates as they come in. The Valley's News and Weather Station, News Talk 710 KURV. Join us tomorrow for Houston Astros baseball. Earlier today was the Astros versus the Rays, game number 3, and the Rays took that one 8-4. Tomorrow, 7:10 first pitch. Mariners coming home to visit Houston. Your Astros, first pitch, 7:10. Astros baseball made possible by Dr. T's Primary Care for Men and Women and Mission Economic Development Corporation. The Texas economy keeps setting records. Some experts say much of this has to do with the state's Republican leadership.
Governor Abbott constantly refers correctly to Texas as the headquarters of headquarters and the jobs juggernaut of America.
Glenn Hamer, who heads the Texas Association of Business, says the state's strength is in diversity. The latest jobs report shows the state's labor force has grown to an all-time high. The unemployment rate holding steady at about 4%, and in San Antonio, it's even lower at just over 3%. Glenn Hamer with the Texas Association of Business praising Republican leadership in the state.
Texas is the land of opportunity and the top state in the country when it comes to pro-business policy.
And there's some big projects on the horizon, too.
The best days are yet to come, and that, in large part, is a tribute to the great leadership of Governor Abbott.
President Trump has put a priority on domestic manufacturing. There's now a push to include prescription drugs, which experts say would bring the prices down.
The idea of a multi-state compact, where states are basically improving the market environment to make drug manufacturing viable.
Dr. Clifford Porter with the Texas Public Policy Foundation says most drugs come from China. And in his opinion, they're not well regulated either. So domestic manufacturing of drugs, he says, would also improve outcomes for patients. He argues for a manufacturing quota where drug makers could bid for the right to produce high demand medications.
The supply chain is a serious problem.
And we need to pull our resources together to do the research for manufacturing.
We can get that to the point of generics. We could actually really create market options.
House Republicans working to push through President Trump's big, beautiful bill. Some conservatives feel the bill, though, isn't enough for cutting to spending, according to Texas Congressman Chip Roy.
We want to save money. We want to save as much money as we can. But we want to do it the right way to deliver for hardworking Americans who are getting left behind by a government here, Republican and Democrat, who keeps spending money we don't have.
The spending bill must first make it through the Rules Committee, which started at a meeting around 1 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. Thank the Lord for that, huh, Davey?
Are they still meeting?
No. The point that I'm trying to make is how finally showing some dedication. Hey, we're going to meet, really freaking early so that we can get this done finally. They're not taking a recess. They're not going on vacation. They're not doing anything like that. No, we're going to wake up really early and talk about this because this needs to get done before the holiday weekend comes around.
Okay.
Now remember, didn't they say that Memorial Day was the deadline about a month ago? So they've been working on this for a while.
I don't pay any attention to that because they don't do what they say, so I don't pay any attention to it.
Okay, that's fine. Speaker Mike Johnson says he hopes a vote will take place on the legislation as soon as tonight. President Trump met with House Republicans yesterday in an effort to shore up support for the bill, threatening that those that don't back him, they're going to get knocked out so fast, so incredibly fast, they won't know what hit them. The GOP can only afford 3 no votes from its members if all of the Democrats remain lockstep. The nonpartisan committee for a responsible federal budget estimates the original version of the bill would add $3.3 trillion to the deficit. Let's see. There's a plan to ban cell phones in Texas public schools. That's getting support. It's backed by anti-bullying activists who say that the access to social media is making classrooms dangerous.
In 2023, approximately 781,000 Texas children self-reported cyberbullying victimization.
That is Maureen Molak, whose son, David, committed suicide after being bullied online. And much of that happened, she said, while he was at school. The bill in the state legislature would ban cell phones starting at the opening bell all the way to when class lets out for the day. It allows districts the flexibility to craft rules on how and where phones would need to be stored. Nearly 800,000 kids in this survey said that they were harassed online.
And an alarming number of these incidents occurred during school. Our use and reliance on phones, computers, and technology ensured that he could not get away from the attacks.
So there's a certain level of, how do I say that?
What do you think of that?
Well, kids are kids. And I don't mean that in a brushing it off kind of way. I mean that in they can be very vicious, and if they go unchecked, they can really push things too far because they're kids. They don't know any better. In a lot of cases, they don't care to know any better. And as long as they're getting away with it, they're going to keep doing it. And I'm sure, I guarantee you, there are circles of social media networks or, anonymous pages that are posting rumors about people and harassing people and bullying people. And it's just, slander, libel, heresy, whatever you want to call it. And it's vicious because kids are kids and they don't know what it is that they're doing. They don't understand what it is that they're doing. I don't think it's going to completely stop cyberbullying just because they don't have their phones on them during school, because it's just going to continue after school. You know what I mean? It's not going to be this isn't the magic pill here. But it would take away some of the distractions during the day. Plus it would reduce the amount of, you've seen like viral videos and pictures from inside the classroom, not only of just students, but like teachers.
Mm-hmm.
It would cut down a lot on that kind of nonsense because you wouldn't have your phone on you to take pictures of people without them knowing about it. And maybe putting stupid emojis on them or making them look like they're doing something that they shouldn't be doing, which could also get them in a lot of trouble. But you get where I'm going with this.
What do adults owe children about this sort of thing? What do they owe?
Mean?
I'm
what
not.
Do you mean by
that? Children can be naughty, very, very ugly until they're trained, and it's up to adults to train them. But not every kid's impulse is to humiliate, beat up, harass other children. Some people just want to be left alone.
The zeitgeist to this, Davey, I'm pretty sure the vibe on this particular bill, I'm pretty sure is a lot of very conservative-minded parents that really just don't think that kind of nonsense from cell phones, that kind of a distraction, belongs in schools.
I agree.
I think the mindset for the bill from the average Joe is probably like, yeah, kids shouldn't be messing with cell phones in schools. And that's about as far as it goes. They're not even thinking about the cyberbullying thing. They're just thinking about the phone as a distraction, period. And the cyberbullying part is kind of getting swept under the rug. That's how I kind of view it from what I've been gathering.
In banning telephones in the classroom? What's the
harm?
What's the bad part about it?
If I really had to come up with something, if I was really forced to come up with something, this is like an 80-20 thing. This would be like the 20%, right? The 20% would be being exposed to situations online in which you had to either defend yourself or at the very least in a more positive manner. Time spent learning the proficiency of a smartphone. And so imagine getting like a smartphone at 18 and you have an idea of how it works, but you really don't know how it works. And you really haven't had that much hands-on experience with it. You know what I mean? Like that's probably one thing, but this is like an 80-20 thing, like 80%, obviously no distractions in schools, cuts down on cyberbullying. It's not a cure for cyberbullying, but it'll cut down on it to some extent. But also it's just like any other skill that you learn as you progress, as you grow up. It's like there could be like a technical proficiency factor that goes along with this. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
But again, that's a very minor point. That's like there's no way that's going to sway the rest of the 80% on that particular issue. I got a little bit of time for this, Davey.
All right.
I wanted to play this from Fox News. The deuce is loose. Peter Doocy, White House correspondent at Fox, talking about the South African president joining President Trump in the White House and how things went very awry, very quick, or very awkward, very quickly.
Sandra and Trace, I didn't even know that you could dim the lights in the Oval Office, which is decades old. Seems like a place that would just have an on or off switch, but President Trump called for the lights to be dimmed so that he could show this multimedia presentation to basically call the visiting South African president's bluff. The South African president came here to say there is no genocide happening in South Africa. President Trump basically said, okay, well, then what's all of this? And he showed political leaders and opposition leaders in South Africa saying some very heinous and violent things for several minutes. And he just made the South African president and the rest of the South African delegation sit there in the half-dark room and watch it. And afterwards, President Trump did want to talk a little bit about trade, and his visiting famous golfer friends from South Africa got to speak as well. He said he has not made up his mind.
He did what? Hey, there's a lot of heinous stuff going on in the country, but did I tell you about these PGA golfers? These guys are top notch. Let me talk to these guys for a second. Come on over here. Let's shake hands for a bit. You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV. We'll expand more on this because, yeah, there are some serious allegations here we're going to talk about. That's coming up next on News Talk 710 KURV.
Later on, after the 956 drive home, stay tuned for the Michael Berry Show at 6, followed by the Charlie Kirk Show at 8 on News Talk 710 KURV, KURV.com, and the Radio Potami app. Spotlight on Your Health, brought to you by DHR Health.
From the DHR Health Heart Institute, board-certified, fellowship-trained, cardiothoracic surgeon, Dr. Victor Reese.
It's a pleasure to be at DHR Health. It's a pleasure to be back in the Valley. I grew up in Brownsville, Texas. My dad, he was a primary practice physician in Brownsville for over 30 years. And it was always interesting running into my dad's patients in the community. They would stop me and say, hey, we love your dad. He helped save my loved one's life, the impact that my father had on his community. And I certainly wanted to be able to impact the community in a similar fashion. Ultimately, I chose to pursue a fellowship in cardiothoracic surgery. So a cardiothoracic surgery fellowship teaches you about the surgical treatment of disease in both the heart, the lung, and an area in the middle of the chest. You learn to do complex operations on the heart, replace heart valves, and even replace major parts of the arteries of the body. In addition, you also do thoracic surgery, and that involves removing tumors in the middle of the chest, lung cancers, esophageal cancer as well. I have an outpatient office. I see patients on a weekly basis. One thing that I learned in medical school is that you have a finite amount of time to interact with patients. However, in cardiothoracic surgery, we're a very low volume specialty, which means I have very few patients and I get to spend a lot of time with them. DHR is a wonderful health system. I was very impressed when I interviewed here. I find that they spend a lot of time listening to the physicians, listening to our needs, and they're constantly trying to push the envelope in terms of providing cutting-edge care for the patients here in the Valley.
From the DHR Health Heart Institute, board-certified, fellowship-trained, cardiothoracic surgeon, Dr. Victor Reese, DHR Health.
This has been Spotlight on Your Health, brought to you by DHR Health. For you, for life.
Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage. For a limited time, go to rapidradios.com now for 60% off and free UPS shipping. Add code RADIO and get an extra 5% off.
This is your news, weather, and talk station. News Talk 710, KURV, and KURV.com.
News Talk 710, KURV.
Zach Cantu, Davey doing you, your 956 drive home on News Talk 710 KURV. A check of 710 KURV AccuWeather radar says that we might begin to see the breach of the perimeter for Zapata and Star counties, this thunderstorm that's heading in from Mexico, and that's supposed to float into ranch country. It might clip the northern part of Hidalgo County as it moves through with rain and maybe some wind, and for ranch country, maybe even some hail along with Zapata and Star counties. That's what it's looking like right now, coming up on the 6 o'clock hour. The Valley's news and weather station, News Talk 710 KURV. Let me reprise this, Davey, from the end of the last segment.
Okay.
Peter Doocy, senior White House correspondent, breaking down what happened earlier today with the Golden Commander and the president from South Africa.
Have an on or off switch, but President Trump called for the lights to be dimmed so that he could show this multimedia presentation to basically call the visiting South African president's bluff. The South African president came here to say there is no genocide happening in South Africa. President Trump basically said, okay, well, then what's all of this? And he showed political leaders and opposition leaders in South Africa saying some very heinous and violent things for several minutes. And he just made the South African president and the rest of the South African delegation sit there in the half-dark room and watch it. And afterwards, President Trump did want to talk a little bit about trade, and his visiting famous golfer friends from South Africa got to speak as well. He said he has not made up his mind, despite the presentation that he had the staff cut and put forward. He has not made up his mind yet about whether or not there's genocide happening. That is something the South African team strenuously denies. And it's worth pointing out that is definitely the most awkward Oval Office meeting since Zelensky was here. It ended a little bit better because
he said the Z word. Oh no!
I can see the vehicle. It is not leaving. The South African delegation is not leaving early. They will be sticking around for lunch. But really, when you watch that,
if I were them, I'm getting a meal out of this. I'm getting something after being blindsided like that. I'm eating
and take some back to the embassy for others. Get plates for them too.
Oh man, I'm not leaving the White House with something after that. I guarantee you. So they denied the reports, and that can go either way. You could take them at their word and be like, well, maybe we didn't know because maybe the reports are being suppressed and they didn't get to us. But at the same time, how do you not know? How do you at least not hear like a rumor that something's going on and set up an investigation? I don't know what the history of this particular thing is with the relationship of their government and those atrocities that are happening. But the intervention from the Golden Commander, very fascinating here today. You're listening on News Talk 710 KURV, your 956 drive home. We'll see you tomorrow.
Previously on the Michael Berry Show.
People who love to say, you don't wear white or